Yeah, welcome all of you. This is our second session on conversation with Santosh. This time we would be talking about issue life cycle. In our last session, we discussed about the checkpoint and the configure audit module on the different use cases, scenarios, and how we can help using of those features. This time we would be talking about issue life cycle. So Santosh, I have collected all the questions which we have received from multiple clients. So would I will start asking those questions to you, and you can help us answering them. And also, if there is any follow-up questions, we will request all the participants to also share their questions in the Q&A section, so that we can also take them live in this session. So Santosh, can we get
Yeah,
started?
we can.
So Santosh, in the issue life cycle, the first question which I have is, in some of the use cases, what happens is the audit is being scheduled by the reviewer and the auditor executes the audit. But post submission, there is a finalization which happens. But issue resolution, when we receive from auditee, it is not been verified by the reviewer, but they would want an audit head to verify and take a call if the issue resolution shared is been can be considered as resolved or it has to be reworked. So can we configure a different role as a verifier when it comes to issue resolution?
It is possible under audit type. In the configuration screen, there is a specific option where you choose who is the authorized person from the audit team, whether it is the auditor, reviewer, or the audit admin. Who is the authorized person who can close an issue, which is confirming the resolution and moving issue to the end of its life cycle, which is the closed status.
Okay.
So that can be selected separately in the create audit module in the configure screen.
Okay. Thanks, Santosh. So I'll move to the next question. One of the client which has shared is that when there is an issue which has been identified by an auditor, the resolution, the turnaround time for the resolution need not be provided by auditing user. So they do not want their auditing user to choose the turnaround time, but would like to have a standard that defined from the auditing.
So again, going back to the same screen, same module, same screen, the configure audit screen gives us a lot of options to decide at an audit type level. One of the options under that is the TAT type. Now, in TAT, there are four things that we can choose from. One is, when does the TAT become applicable? There are two options for it. One is on completion of audit or on finalization, that is on submission or on finalization. Similarly, there are two types of TAT that can be applied to a issue that is coming out of any audit. The two options, one is a date based on, as I said, the submission or finalization, or any other date as proposed by the auditee. So then once it is selected as proposed by auditee, for all issues, the auditee will be proposing a date of closure. Or if the other option is selected, that is TAT based, audit submission or finalization based TAT is taken, then the standard TAT across all issues can be defined by the admin while configuring the audit and at a risk level. So for all low risk issues, what's a TAT, medium risk, high risk, and critical. For each of the risk levels, a different TAT can be configured while configuring the audit itself. And this is at an audit level, not at an organization level. So if the organization is running multiple audits simultaneously, then this TAT can be defined differently for each of the audits. So one audit may have TAT as defined as promised by the auditee. The other audit may have uh, submission date based TAT. Third audit may have finalization date based TAT. So each of the audit can have its own different approach.
So Santosh, when we are configuring, for example, with maybe a submission based or the post finalization that due date calculation, is that possible that we give same number of days to be calculated? For example, I do not want to configure the TAT against every risk, for irrespective whatever the risk of the checkpoint we have identified. Can we give
That is
a
possible. It is
45 days
possible.
timeline?
Yeah. So for for low, medium, high, and critical, if I want to have a differentiation, I can. That is why the TAT is possible to be defined at that level. But if all of that has to be a standard TAT, then the same value can be entered in all the four against all the four risks. So then the entire audit has a standard turnaround time.
Okay. Next question is on the auditee sign-off process, Santosh. What often they observe is that there is always a delay in getting auditee sign-off. So they would want to know if we can send a notification to auditee or maybe another role notifying that there is no action happen on auditee sign-off. The work is being pending from auditee side. Can we send such notification through
It
audit?
is possible. It is possible. So in Audit 360, there is a notification module in itself which allows every organization to configure different notification preferences for different audits as required by the organization. Now, within that, there are about 26 action based and about 13 odd non action based notification triggers that are available. Any combination of these 39 notifications can be chosen by the organization for selecting where a notification has to go. So this only acts as the trigger. Once the trigger is satisfied by a action or a non-action for that case, who needs to be notified and when can also be specified within this notification module. There can be different notification preferences set, different combinations of these notification possibilities or triggers can be set at different audit type level. Once a notification preference is set, it can be given a name and saved and then attached to an audit type. Now, in that, one of the notifications available is non-closure of issue within the defined TAT. So if the TAT is crossed, a notification can be created. It may be sent to the auditee's supervisor or someone above that, or to handle all of this, there is anyways the reminder module that is available. Under reminder, different reminders can be configured starting from the auditee upwards to anyone else in the organization based on specific targets, based on different dates from date of expiry of the TAT, based on whatever be the tolerance level that has to be kept. A reminder can be sent to the same user. A notification can be sent to the next level supervisor, and until whatever level it is deemed fit or is defined by the organization.
Okay. So when we were talking about the auditee sign-off, we also know that in part of the auditee sign-off, the issues can be accepted by an auditee user, or even you can reject the issue which has been identified by an auditor. So in case of reject, there is mandatory evidence which is being captured as a process. But however, we would like you to give some light on how reject issues are being handled. If already user rejects any of the issue, how is the system handling those reject case issues?
Yep. So the reject is nothing but the auditee being able to raise a conflict on the auditor's observation. It can happen during the sign-off process while the auditee signs off an audit in its entirety. He maintains that I do not agree to some of the observations of the auditor. Now, in Audit 360, this scenario, a final call on this scenario is taken by the auditor's supervisor. And the supervisor may not be part of the audit as it is happening at a given auditee location. So then for the supervisor to be able to take an informed call, he should be aware of why the auditee is saying he's not agreeing with the auditor's observation. So therefore, it becomes mandatory for the auditee to share a counter evidence of his which substantiates his claim. So then, looking at the evidence which is given by the auditor, if there is one, and looking at the counter evidence given by the auditee, the supervisor, the auditor side reviewer is in a position to take a final call on such rejection. And the call that he can take is whether to retain the issue as part of the audit or going by the explanation given by the auditee, accepting his explanation and dropping the issue. So retain or drop are the two options available with the supervisor on a rejection being received from the auditee.
Okay, so in this case, the final decision would be with the supervisor.
Yes, with the audit, the reviewer.
Okay. So Santosh, in normal scenarios, what we have is we have one supervisor, auditor, and an auditee. But in certain large audits like branch audits or complete department-wise audit or a process audits, when we do, there are different departments which gets audited as part of one audit, where actually the branch manager would be front-ending the audit, still the audit is being executed by an auditor. But whereas when it comes to the issue resolution, branch manager may not be the person who would be resolving the issue, but there would be different department or respective department owners who have to fix this issue and notify the auditees. So in Audit 360, how do we manage this multiple auditee scenarios?
Before I answer this, I would like to go back to the non-sign-off question, that is the last to last question which you raised. When there is a delay in sign-off from the auditee,
Yeah.
there's another thing. Soon we will be coming up with deemed sign-off. So once the feature is ready, we will be intimating the intimating all our clients. So there is a particular option called deemed sign-off that is coming up. We'll talk more about that as and when the feature is ready and released. Yeah, coming back to this, the question which you raised, which is about the auditee in the exam, taking an example of a branch audit and a branch manager physically or operationally not able to close all the issues all by himself. So in Audit 360, again, drawing your attention back to the configure in the create audit module to the configure audit page. There, there is an option called respondent. So if you enable the respondent is nothing but anyone below the auditee who can resolve an issue on behalf of the auditee. So in that case, what happens is when an audit is submitted, obviously if there is a sign off, then the sign off is given by the auditee, and then the audit is finalized. On finalization, for the first time, the auditee will have to do an allocation of these issues to the respondents. Then the respondent will actually do what previously the auditee used to do, that is entering the remarks, giving closure evidences and all of that. And he gets to respond to the issue, which means the issue status will show as responded. Once the issue is responded, the auditee will be able to resolve the issue.
Okay. Santosh, in the example you gave or with the workflow, what you defined, this one-time allocation we are talking about. In certain cases, when we have multiple respondent user, so here when I have individual respondent user, I allocate it to the respective group and they resolve the issue. But in certain time when we have multiple users, we would the auditee would like to allocate them on a case-to-case basis. Like as and when the schedule happen, basis whatever issues comes up, the auditee would like to decide and assign those issues to the respondent. Is this possible if we would like to do in Audit 360?
Yeah, I'll come to why this may be required. There are two things that we generally see when, the best example to take is branch audits. We usually see two possibilities. One is that there are people responsible for different subsections or different processes within a branch. Say if we take an example of a bank, then there is tellers, there is account opening, there is the retail assets, or there could be general branch operations. So the responsibility for each of these processes will be vested on a certain individual. Now then, in that case, the normal allocation can be resorted to where the what you call the once the audit has happened for the first time, the issue can be allocated the group, the process of this one which is called group in Audit 360, that can be allocated to different respondents. Then once it is done, once in the lifetime of the audit, it is once it is taken care, every time the audit happens, the issue automatically flows to the same role that is created, same respondent role that is created. Now, in certain cases, what happens is there is a revolving responsibility. Someone who is responsible for a certain action, certain group, certain process this quarter may not be responsible for the same the next quarter. There is a job rotation that happens. In that case, it has to rotate, or there may not be a process level allocation. It is just that a couple of people in the branch are selected and made responsible for closure of all the audit. So then that changes from quarter to quarter as the audits keep happening. So then in that case, again, going back to the configure screen, there are two things that can happen. The allocation can be done once or during every schedule. If schedule level allocation is selected, every time an audit is executed on an auditee, the auditee will have to do the allocation. And then when he is doing, he can do as per his preference at that given point in time. I hope that answers, Ramya.
Yes, Santosh. So in this case, I think even the reassign or removal of the assignment would also be possible because there would be a different responsibility change with the users.
Yes. All of that is possible.
Okay. Is there any questions from the participant side? Would you like to take?
So currently, we don't have anything.
I'll go
So
to my next.
because it is issue related, over the last few months, we have been receiving a lot of questions from you as part of the onboarding or as part of the support process. So please do feel free to bring your questions. Please share it in the Q&A. We'll try and take those up right now and answer all of those. Obviously, depending on the time, but we'll try and answer as much as possible. Yeah, Remy.
Santosh, what we also would like to know when we're talking about reallocation and to the respondent and users and all, is there a maker checker also available with the auditee side, like how we have at the audit team side before as a process of finalization? Do we have maker checker from auditee side for a issue resolution?
See, when we add the respondent, that itself adds as a maker checker. But having said that, in fact, on the auditee side, there is a third role. So, so far, whatever I have spoken is on the
Audit
create audit module, configure audit screen. So there again, there is a role called auditee reviewer. So then the auditee reviewer is a person above the auditee who would review the responses coming either from the auditee himself or herself, or from the respondent to the auditee, then onwards to the reviewer. The reviewer may or may not be satisfied. Reviewer is auditee reviewer. The auditee reviewer may or may not be satisfied with the quality of the resolution, the comment, the evidence, and all of that. He can or she can ask for a rework of the resolution. And once the auditee reviewer is satisfied, then it can be put towards the action, and the auditee reviewer can be completed, and then it can be passed on to the audit team for a review. So this generally is used in organization where there is a relatively smaller audit team, and the quality of response coming to the audit team has to be at a level so that it can avoid too much of work asking the auditor side team or the audit team asking for too much of rework on the issue resolution. Basically, they spend a lot of time looking at the quality of the resolution in itself. That can be handled better when there is a auditee reviewer that is added to the audit.
Okay.
Ramya?
Yeah. So the one more major pain area which most of the clients keep stating about is getting the resolution to the from the auditees. So they were asking if we can send multiple follow-ups, reminding them to close the or the resolve the issues. Can they send even before they cross the due date, or should we have to wait till the due date is crossed to send the reminders?
Not required. This is what I mentioned as part of the sign off question, the second question that you asked. So, Audit 360 has a reminder module. Different reminders can be set up. Different types of reminders can be set up. Reminders can be set up, reminders in the sense while the word is reminder, intimations can also be set up under the reminder module. So there, if you want to give couple of intimations to the auditee before the turnaround time actually is elapsed. So a T minus 5 and then a T minus 3, if that has to be served, that can also be taken care. So the trigger for the reminder when it is being configured could be a positive or negative number. When there is a negative number, it applies as a early reminder. So if a issue closure is due on the 18th and a -3 reminder has been set, a mail goes 18th minus 3, which is 15th of the month. So similarly, post due date reminders, which are positive numbers based on the turnaround time, that can be configured. Then reminder intimations to higher ups in the auditee side, that can also be configured. There is no limitation on what number of reminders that can be created for a certain type of audit.
Okay. With following up with whatever you said, Santosh, when you talk about adding the up level, which is hierarchy level escalation based reminders to the auditee, can we add users? We would like to send the reminders to those users who are not part of Audit 360. In fact, actually, they don't do any action as such in any of the module in Audit 360. So can we add those users also just to send the hierarchy emails?
As long as the user is configured in Audit 360 with a given role, that role can be used to generate a reminder on the email ID. Whether the user does anything on Audit 360 or not is immaterial. But having said that, the user should be created in Audit 360 with a specific role and a definition in the hierarchy.
Okay. Next is question which I think partially you have already covered, but I would like to just share this again. Uh, the audit team wanted to get notified if in case the issue has been resolved. The moment auditee user, when she resolve the issue, the audit team should get notified. And also they would like to get notified if there is no action happened on the resolved issue. Like a verifier has to check if the issue resolution, what they have shared is appropriate, whether if not, they have to reopen. That action is also not happened. So on both of those process being followed and the process being lapsed, the audit head would like to get notified. So I believe this could be achieved in
Yeah,
the
from the notification, this also can be achieved. Yep.
okay with the action and the non-action. I believe we would be able to
Correct,
achieve it.
correct. This can definitely be achieved from there.
Okay. As an audit head or a management user, they would want to track the issue occurrence of for an auditee and also look for their performance of issue resolution for an auditee. So how and they would want to see how is the compliance behavior. So if there is a process being set, even if they have labs post that, are they being able to resolve them and they are not able to come back with the same issue? How is their behavioral basis, the compliance is something when management user or an audit head would like to see. So how do they see and which are the modules they can refer to check this?
See, I think this is best monitored from the dashboard, and the dashboard that should be seen, specifically the dashboard that should be seen for this should be the compliance dashboard. So in the compliance dashboard at an audit level, at an audit level across all auditees, or at an audit level or auditee level across all audits, or at an auditee level at a specific audit, sub-audit group, or a single checkpoint level, or at all auditee level, as I said, at audit, sub-audit group or checkpoint level. And at all these levels, the data can be looked into from different perspectives. There is a repeat issue, there is recurring issue as a count, as a trend. There is risk level issues. There's a turnaround time, performance. There is time taken to close issue and a trend based on that. All of this is available in the compliance dashboard. So if a management user wants to drive the issue performance in his organization, the best way to do that is to base all his actions, all his decisions on the compliance dashboard. It gives a very, very comprehensive view of all the issues. In addition to this, the organization can also look at, the compliance dashboard is created with a certain standard view in mind, so that it applies to all organizations. Now, certain organizations may want to look at certain parameters in detail, or certain parameters that are currently not covered by the compliance dashboard. As long as the data is available in Audit 360, a separate dashboard can be created at an organization level. All that needs to be done is for the head of audit to get in touch with us. We will set up a dashboard as a customization. So we'll set up a custom dashboard only for that organization for their use. So and then when it is created as a custom dashboard, the head of audit can discuss with us and arrive at parameters that he would like to see, as long as as I said, the only disclaimer to this is that the data points should be available within Audit 360. As long as it is available, we can easily set up a dashboard only for the use of a certain organization. Now, having said this, once there are Prime subscribers to the dashboard, the dashboard by definition comes with 3 different levels of subscription, that is Plus, Pro, or Prime. So if at least one user in the organization is a Prime subscriber, or a set of users are Prime subscribers, then even external data can be brought into the dashboard. So the organization, if they want to have a look at the issue performance against some other parameter which is not there in within Audit 360, it can be brought in through an external file. How and what all can be done under that, maybe that's a discussion, that's a topic for discussion in another call, because that gets into dashboard and its capabilities in detail. So to stick to the subject of this webinar, I think yes, it is available in the compliance dashboard. Another dashboard can be set up only for the organization for the purpose of monitoring issues at the organization's individual requirement level, based on data that is available in Audit 360. Or if there are Prime users, Prime subscribers to dashboard within the organization, then even external data, when I say data external to Audit 360, which may be coming from their core banking or loan origination or whatever the alternate system that is being in use. From that, the information can be brought in and custom dashboards can be created.
Suppose when we talk about custom dashboard, can we even think of having the dashboards for auditing? If an organization would like to purchase the dashboard for audit level, where they would want their respective audit performance on whatever issues, if when they have, especially when they have respondent and all, they would like to track on how things are being going. They have a status on for them to work around. So do you feel that it's a possibility to have auditing dashboard to auditing users?
Anything is possible. So we ourselves in the near future will be coming up with two very targeted dashboards. One which will be focused on monitoring the performance of the auditee, and the other dashboard will be focused on monitoring the performance of the auditor. Both will be out soon. But as I said, there is a custom view that is there in mind that can easily be created at an auditee level or an auditor level or any other level for that matter.
Okay. Santosh, when you were talking about dashboard, you even spoke about repeat and recurring issues. So how is the defining repeat and recurring in Audit 360?
Within Audit 360, the definition of a repeat issue is when the same issue occurs in two consecutive audits for the same auditee.
Mm-hmm.
And recurring is more than twice. So if there is an issue on the compliance for a given control is negative for a given audit cycle, let's take it as monthly for now. So in the month of June, the compliance is negative. In the month of July, again, the compliance is negative. So that becomes a repeat issue. In the month of August, if it is again negative, it becomes a recurring issue. Now, in the month of September, it is positive. The clock is reset in that case. So then again, in October, if it comes up as a non-compliance or a negative, then it comes up as a fresh issue.
Okay, only consecutive observations would be considered as repeat.
Yeah,
and
two
recurring.
consecutive observations will be repeat. More than two, that is 3 or 4 or 5, or any other number for that matter, will be considered as recurring. Once it is coming as positive, then obviously the chain is broken. Then the next time it occurs, it could be the very next audit or after 3-4 months. Whenever it is occurring, it will come in as a fresh issue.
Okay.
So this clock being reset for the purpose of calculating repeat or recurring doesn't affect anything else. So for example, for a given branch, how many times the branch is faltered for a given checkpoint can be found out using different charts in the compliance dashboard. So this is only for the tagging. The reset happens only for the tagging of repeat and recurring. Otherwise, say if we take up a 1-year period and if we need to find out how many times for a given checkpoint, there has been a non-compliance, it can easily be found out using the compliance dashboard checkpoint level count of issues chart.
Okay. I have last 2 questions. Before that, would like to check if any of the clients would like to share.
As of now, there is none. There are no questions.
Okay, I'm moving to the next question. See, during audit, for issue resolution, so if, for example, if it is an auto calculated, there would be a specific tag being defined against every issue. But when an audit team is working on the any resolution of the issue, they realize that the tag which has been defined is not sufficient, and they would like to modify them. So is that feature available in Audit 360 where that can be modified and they can extend the tag for them to resolve the issue?
I think we had discussed this, a couple of weeks back. In the standard set of features, it is not possible. But then if they subscribe to a premium feature, then this stat extension is possible. So Ramya, you may want to operationally explain how that happens, the feature, how it works.
Yes. So this the premium feature, actually how it works is for the due date change, an auditee user or a respondent user will be able to modify the due date for the future date. This will be functionable only if it will be possible only if the super admin has enabled the due date changes in the configure audit. If we have purchased a premium feature and the super admin at an audit type level has allowed for the due date change, then this is possible. But super admin can even set the limit of the due date change, because instead of leaving an unlimited changeover, they would want to keep it for a limited, they give only one instance or two instances the change to be allowed. Basis the instance being allowed, they will be able to allow the auditee user to modify. So in this configuration in the premium feature, we are only allowing the auditee user to move their due date for the future date, and there will be no currently no associated workflow being allowed there, approval workflow. So this is a
Then,
premium feature we have.
so there is one question. This is about the external data, data external to audit, how to get that into the dashboard. So, yeah. So as I said, for organizations who have at least one prime subscription to the audit, to the dashboard, the organization can get in touch with us. We will enable upload of data into the dashboard, and using that, a separate dashboard can be created. Once external data is uploaded to Audit 360, that is there for reference. Based on that data, between the newly brought in data and the existing data in Audit 360, combination of information can be created and a dashboard can be set up. I hope that answers.
Sandesh, could you give some examples?
So, for example, one example would be, a branch audit is being conducted. Okay. The branch performance at the end of the audit comes out as whether the branch is, failed the audit, or the branch is cleared, or if it is rated as good or excellent, or whatever it is. This information in itself may not mean anything. This just gives the audit performance of the given branch. Now, when it goes to a decision maker, what makes sense or what makes more sense is when this information is read along with the other performances of the branch. For example, if it is a retail asset organization, or say an NBFC, or even a bank that gives a branch that extends loans. So on that, what happens is the branch has an audit-based score, okay, which is, whether the rating, whatever has come out as part of the audit. Now, if we can put it at par, or we can put it across the other performance of the branch, that is in terms of what is the volume of business that is being done, or what is the performance in collection, the repayment for loans originated from that branch, then this audit information adds more value. How? For example, for a given quarter, a branch has done very, very high numbers in terms of loan origination. And on that part, the audit is a fail. The result of the audit is a fail, which means the branch has been sourcing a lot of loans while failing on the loan origination audit parameters, which means the risk is very, very high. If the same branch has sourced, say, for example, 2 files during the audit period and it has failed the audit, the risk is limited to those 2 files. While the audit failure is a failure, it is a process failure, it needs to be fixed. The impact of that failure is very, very high when it is compared with the corresponding period loan origination performance. So then when that is seen, if the branch has sourced, say, 1,000 files during the 3-month period for which audit is conducted, and it has failed on KYC parameters, then it is a serious concern. Then you go into, what percentage was sampled, out of that, what was the, past, what was the failed percentage. Then if that is also high, then you may want to increase the sample size, or you may want to do a special audit on the branch, which, it leads to a lot of other things. So putting the audit performance in perspective with various other performance parameters of the auditee. I am taking an example of a bank or a microfinance or an NBFC for easy explanation of the feature. It could be applicable for any domain. So the non-audit performance in perspective with the audit performance, giving more meaning, giving more assessment on the impact of the non-performance or performance on the audit parameters, which allows the decision makers to take better informed calls. That is what I was trying to explain by saying additional parameters can be brought in outside Audit 360 to add perspective to the audit dashboard, audit information on the dashboard. Hope that answers.
Yes, Santosh. Thanks. Santosh, is the last question from the list which I have, but I would request all the participants to share if there are any more questions. So when we were talking about external audit, I have something similar to the external data, but in the example which you were sharing is the external data which is apart from the audit observation, the data to be moved into a dashboard to have analysis. But the question what I have is on the audits which are executed outside the audit 360. So if there are some clients who are been using audit 360 now, but prior they have not used audit 360, which was actually done a physical audits, and those issues are still open. So they would want to bring in those open issues into the system and continue doing a issue resolution in audit 360. So is there as a possibility, uh, can we think about the feasibility? Is a feasibility there? So can we just, instead of just getting into as a part of dashboard, can we also have those issues into the system and have the further workflows of resolution, closure, and all those things managed through Audit 360?
This one is little tricky compared to the dashboard. In dashboard, we just need to provide a view access. Here the associated workflow, reminder, notification, all of that has to work. So then, but then the audit has not happened in Audit 360. A lot of parameters will be missing.
Yeah.
But having said that, we are working on this. Soon, this feature will also be launched as a premium feature where if an audit has happened outside Audit 360, then bringing on the issues into Audit 360 uh, for usage of the issue tracking capabilities of Audit 360, there will be a feature that we will bring in soon. There will be a module. In the module, the issues can be uploaded in a certain specific format, and then that can be used. That obviously gives rise to the corresponding or following resulting workflows. And that takes over, and obviously there are different actions. Obviously, it falls into the dashboard and all of that.
Yeah, I think we have one question from the participant side. Santosh, could you please take that?
Yeah. So, the question here is how is this possible that, there are issues that are coming out outside Audit 360? So, once Audit 360 is put in place, generally we expect that all audits are conducted using Audit 360. So, the question is about past audits that has happened when Audit 360 was not there for the organization. And therefore, uh, tracking those issues may need to continue at least for an interim period until all of the issues are taken into closure. And, in that scenario, once Audit 360 is subscribed to or Audit 360 is bought, on an immediate basis, the past issues may need to be brought into Audit 360 for better focus and closure of the past issues. That is one possibility. The second possibility is there may be an external audit happening on the organization where that organization may or may not be okay in using Audit 360 because the Audit 360 is a preference or a choice of our client, say an XYZ organization is using Audit 360 because they liked it. They are being audited by ABC Corporation as an external auditor. That audit will give rise to issues. Those issues needs to be tracked. Now the organization may want to use Audit 360 because of the reminder, notification, and the workflow based capabilities of Audit 360 to better handle those issues, at least to give internal visibility on how the external audit issues are progressing in terms of closure. So then bringing that into Audit 360 for tracking and monitoring, then that is also another case where the issues become external to Audit 360. So that these are two scenarios when the issues may need to be brought into Audit 360 after they have come into being, after they have come to life. And these are two scenarios when issues can come to life without Audit 360. I just talked about two possibilities. There could be other possibilities as well. I hope I answered that. I hope I brought more clarity.
Yeah, Santosh.
Yeah.
I'm done with my questions. I think we should give some time for the participants to share their queries. So request all the participants to share your queries so that I can take this up live with Santosh.
Yes, we can wait for 2-3 minutes for any possible questions. So any questions from anybody? I'll also parallelly use this time to request you to uh, give feedback on the webinar sessions. This will help us at the end of the day. It is to make your life easy. It is to make your usage of Audit 360 more efficient and more productive, more rewarding. That we are having these sessions. So the more suggestions, more uh, what you call the more opinions you share with us will definitely add value. Help us to add more value through these sessions. The last couple of sessions was actually a conscious decision to get into a conversation mode because a demo takes care of a demo. In a demo, what we look at is what the system is capable of. But what we were not addressing, which we felt, is that how an organization can use what Audit 360 is capable of to its benefit. So that's why we thought some conversation sessions are required. So time and again, we'll keep coming up with these conversation sessions. Most of these questions have come from you in, the support or as part of onboarding. So these are what you call conscious decisions that we've taken to make these sessions more interesting, more useful. So please do share your feedback as a response to the survey format that we keep sharing after all the webinar sessions. If you want to look into the any specific module again, we are more than happy to take that up because after one point, it's always going to be a repeat. So, we have no priorities as to which format. Currently, the priorities are chosen based on your choice that comes up during the feedback sessions. If not, then the additional parameter, the next parameter that we use is to choose a module where most number of questions have been received as part of the support process during the previous week or the previous 3-4 weeks. Then there is a priority set based on that we take. So these are a couple of things that we are thinking. Another point which is coming up, we are doing a happiness survey. We are reaching out to all of you to understand how happy you are. It is purposefully being done by someone who's not involved in any of the activities that normally takes place, whether it is sales or onboarding or support. We have someone who's completely away from all of these normal client-facing activities. We are bringing in that person so that you can give independent feedback um, on us, on the product, people, or process. So please feel free to share your unedited feedbacks there as well. There's nothing for us to feel bad about. If there is something that is shared, on the negative side, we'll take that up. we'll make sure that you see an improvement on those parameters as well. So please do share. A lot of you have already shared your response to the happiness survey. You've given us a lot of suggestions as well. We'll be definitely taking up the suggestions one by one. So I think, Ramya, there are no more questions. Then that brings us to the close of today's webinar.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for taking time out
Thank
and
you.
joining these sessions. We look forward for your suggestions on topics, your feedback as well to make these sessions more meaningful. Yeah, over to you, Ramya. If there is anything more that you wish to add.
Nothing, Santosh. It's fine. So thank you all for all the participants to make time and to join these sessions. So let's connect again next week with new topic to be discussed. Thank you. We're closing the meeting now.
Yeah, thank you everybody. Thanks a lot. Look forward to meet you next time, next Monday. Thank you.
Thank you.